special message from my friend NJ, who's looking to do some, it's nice to have a little scratch when your little fur baby's on the mend. So I'm gonna give the floor to the NB who you envy, MJ. Go ahead and take it away.
Hello. I am currently raising money basically for my cat needs a surgery in about a week's time, and although the operation is mostly funded, but it's just her aftercare and medication and things. We just want to make sure that we've kind of got enough for that and stuff to make sure she's taken care of. But I've just got a tip jar on Kofi or coffee, however you want to pronounce it, which is at co-fi.com/wrestle-trash. And also, I've got a shirt for sale on there with the Lucha Boo. My cat is called Boo, and it's got a little luchador wearing a luchador mask wearing cat on there, and it's very cute, and you should buy one. But yeah, any help is very much appreciated. But if not, that's also fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the reins here and say, no, make sure that this gets all paid for. Please donate as much as you can, as much as you want, but please donate. Do what you can. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me as well. I've had a lovely time.
Hello, hello, hello. You know what it is. It's Doc, aka Dr. Lariat, aka Gunther, aka the Gunatic Fringe, aka Kenny Goo Omega, aka Tauru Ye No, aka Genki Gucci Mane, aka the Yeet Man, aka your host. And with me today, um, for all you cartography lovers out there, we got ourselves Bryan from Wrestlemap. How you doing, Bryan?
Hey, what's up? I'm doing okay. How about you?
I'm okay, man. Um, and you said a little bit off the air that you had some nicknames that you had. You mind sharing them?
Yeah, mostly I just call myself a silly little piss pot. Silly little piss pot Brian, that's what I call. That's you can find me on TikTok actually. Silly piss pot Brian is kind of what I've been going as. But yeah, other than that, I'm just kind of Brian. I've always wanted to I always thought it'd be cool, like how Madonna just has one name. That was always a goal of mine to just be
Bryan.
like Brian. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, for some reason, for like how Taka Michinoku, the first part of his name is like in all caps.
Yes.
That's always been cool to me. Or like how Kenta is
Oh
just
yeah.
Kenta in all caps. I wonder
Yeah,
why
like all the
nobody has done that in pop culture or anything like that, except for wrestlers.
right. I think it's something from like Japanese culture because like that's been at least back into the 90s. I remember with like things from even like FMW, you would get
Yeah.
things that were just like all caps, like an English word. So yeah, I don't know what that's all about, but I always thought that was super cool too.
Yeah, like, just the way it looks. I mean, like even like Takeshi Miike, he has like his name in like full English all the time when he's like announced or something. So like that, or beat Takeshi also, and like that stuff is pretty cool to me, honestly. It just all
Yeah.
caps.
Yeah.
Um, and I say wrestle maps and I say cartography because this man. I'll let this man explain what he does, but I'll explain how I came onto him. Not like that. I'm a happily married man. I love you, hun. Please don't kill me. So we had this mutual friend. Shout out to you, Cody. And I asked him, like I asked a lot of people, is if they know anybody doing interesting like with their fandom. And he had directed me over to your Discord, Wrestlemap, and your website. And I gotta say, man, I can't do words justice, so I'm gonna let you do you, Bryan, and give you the floor to explain what your mission is.
All right, so back in like 2020, I kind of launched the website WrestleMap.com. The whole idea at the time was that I wanted to compile kind of like a database of wrestling around the world. So I've always been like growing up, I was really into like, wrestling obviously,
Yeah.
and one of the things that I liked the most was, I don't know, just finding like obscure facts, obscure kind of like, I don't know, like I was really into like the PWI almanac. Like that was like one of the coolest things to me.
Oh yeah.
And so just like compiling like this like, I guess, data and like a database like wrestling related was always something that like I just thought was the coolest thing. And like I'd also always been intrigued by just like wrestling happening in other places and like how it got there, like what it was like,
Mm.
um, and like just kind of like the history there. So I started to kind of think that I wanted to have a spot that I could compile that kind of just like for myself at first was the idea. And I wanted to make like I decided on like a map because I was interested in, it taking place like wrestling in just like all these different places around the world, like
Yeah.
unique, scenes in different countries that you weren't expecting to see it and like how it evolved there. So at first I just kind of started to I remember coming across some stuff about like I watched a documentary about like the history of wrestling in the UK, and then
Oh yeah.
came across some stuff on YouTube that was from like South Africa, and I was like really blown away. Like I didn't realize that this was like a thing. So like I started to kind of I was like I don't want to like lose any of this. I want to be able to check in on this like when I feel like I want to. So I started to put together a map, and then I started to kind of like brainstorm around it, and I was like, I think other people might like this, and I
Jesus.
think that it could even be like helpful to people. Like I think it could be helpful to like not just fans, like if fans that wanted to like find wrestling around the world and like that maybe had a similar interest like that I did.
Yeah, man.
Um, but not just them, but also I thought like promoters could benefit from it. Wrestlers that like wanted to travel, like I just thought it could help kind of open some doors, like put it on a spot that was like more visible for like people to be able to use kind of these resources to try and make, I guess, the wrestling world smaller and more accessible, really, no matter where it was. So then I kind of started to remember I posted to Squared Circle on
Mm.
Reddit. And usually I just feel like anytime I post anything on Reddit, it's always like torn apart. It's like
Yeah.
people are like not usually friendly on Reddit, but for whatever reason, when I shared this map, just or the idea and like kind of like the very start of the map, it got like such a great response, and I had tons of people saying, "Hey, don't forget us in this country that I never expected there to be wrestling in," and that kind of gave me like a big like a huge boost into like starting to really compile like more like really like full, not full because I feel like it'll be hard to like get everything in the world, but
Yeah.
really, really more comprehensive map that people could access.
Yeah.
And the map was kind of the building block, but then there was kind of a lot of stuff that is had launched from there too. I don't know that you want to get into that quite yet, but that's kind of the start of like where the whole map thing went.
Well, well, I know like a couple of guys who I talk to all the time. Shout out to you, Tail. Shout out to you, Droman. Who love playing like stuff like Civilization and like those map painting games where
Yes.
like the Romance of the Three King games. Like you take over like certain sections, and then I know people who love that stuff. And personally, like I'm kind of like, because on my show, as my show titles, as people have seen on my pods, I like putting the city and country of whoever I'm talking to. So like I got Portugal on the map, I got Australia, I got like Florida, Cleveland, Nebraska, I got Mexico, I got the UK, um, like Japan, and like all those countries, and it's just like uh, it's cool to like pin it on like a world map and see like,
Yeah.
wow, it's like just see like, oh, this is where wrestling has touched too. And hopefully that guy from Greenland gets back to me. But
Oh, you found a wrestling fan in Greenland?
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
he at least he claims to be from Greenland, but it's just like, you talk to someone from Germany and you talk to someone from like Seattle, and like you just like you're like seeing all these different ideas and things come to head, and like just seeing like the reach of pro wrestling. It's not
Yeah.
just like locally, it's like worldwide where you see all these fans come from. And what your project is doing with like not putting like pins and putting on flags where like this is where the territorials for this one, these are the active wrestling federations in these areas. I think
Hmm.
that's really helpful, not just for the promoters and not just for fandom, but also for keeping a record. Because like I I'm big on things like oral histories. Like what we're doing right
Yeah.
now, we're keeping a record of like this day in the life of like Bryan and me, uh, for however long we're talking, and like part of that is also having these settings and these locations and all that, and that really spoke to me. And you know sometimes that stuff is cool, and then sometimes like on those old WWE documentaries where they had like, this is the WWF territory, this is Jim Crockett, this is
Yeah.
AWA, that is also like what appealed to me on your website, because it was like, wow, it's kind of similar to that, and it gives me a good feeling like when you look at the back then, and you see like where the borders were and like where they touched, and then how sometimes they got all weird because WWF would also come to California, so they had the California territory and some other
Right.
places. And then you come to the Triple H NXT map, and you just feel like a feeling of dread and like, oh no.
Yeah.
And now we know he marked Mexico, the UK, and Japan, so it's like,
I know. I know. Yeah. I I don't know. That was, when they started the whole like NXT UK thing,
yeah,
there was a lot of talk from people in the UK that it was kind of like crushing their indie scene. And I like when with some of the stuff that I was compiling, I kind of saw like, companies that had to go under because they couldn't book certain guys anymore and things
yeah.
like that. So, yeah, it's tough for sure. It's tough.
So
Excuse me.
yeah, man. What can you do? Businesses evolve, and this is what happens sometimes with business. But resist. That's what I say all the time. Resist. Um,
Yeah.
and you know what, man? Like, there's something about a map that just really does appeal to me, and just like
Yes.
having that visual go along with like oh, this is the Florida territory.
Yeah,
This is the Munich territory. This is the blah blah blah
yeah,
territory. All of that is it freaking rules. And honestly, like what you do is like it's a good service, and yeah, man, I like hearing about it. And if you wanted to go further into it, go ahead, man. Just let people know because
yeah,
this is a project that I am 100% fully behind, and it's just something like that's I never thought about, but it's something that I love seeing happen in real time.
yeah. So like you mentioned like record keeping stuff, and that's something too that I think I have like a passion for as well. Like I I kind of wanted to be, the guy that was keeping these records of
Yeah,
like, these promotions around the world. And then that kind of got me into a little bit more of like writing about things. And at first, when I started my site, when I started WrestleMap, I kind of had an idea like, yeah, maybe I will do some writing. And it kind of ballooned into an idea I had at one point that I also felt wasn't realistic, and I guess I'll get back to that in a little bit,
mm,
but um, I think that there was a lot of like wrestling that I was coming across that you know. Other than just having like it marked down and having a record like this is happening, that I
yeah,
was finding that like there wasn't really any information about it elsewhere.
mm,
So then I wanted to help kind of create or at least share the stories and the histories too. So I started to do more writing where I was trying to track like these like events and title lineages to an extent from what I could do and like histories and things like that. And then kind of circling back around to what kind of ballooned into something that was a little too hard to manage was writing news and doing that as kind of like almost like a daily thing where I was trying to keep up with wrestling in all of these different like territories that you mentioned, like
yeah,
different places overseas that, no one else was talking about, but I, had seen, through their social media or through some of the contacts that I had made, cool, event details or like, information about a wrestler that I thought was cool, things like that. And I really got into for a few years, like really trying to write like daily or at least weekly news covering this stuff. And I thought that I could keep up with it, and it really got to be too much.
yeah,
Um,
man. Yeah,
I know that a lot of like the promoters and stuff really appreciated like the coverage that they would get and things like that, but as the only person that was writing for the site, it got to be just like it there was times where it just felt really overwhelming,
yeah,
and it would take a little bit of the fun out. Like it sometimes would feel more like a job. So I definitely had to scale back some of like that like hyper like around the world coverage stuff.
yeah, man. I personally, I I love the work that you do, man. I like the effort you put in, but like you detailing that with all the and you're doing it like on a daily basis and trying to go deep and deep and deep. Pause. It's just like I could see how that could burn you out. That's why
Yeah.
what I usually do with this, I that's why I like saw if I ever wanted to do something similar to like one of those websites because I used to love like online World of Wrestling, right? Because like it used
Hmm.
to have like those pictures of like everyone from like rookie year to right now, and
Yeah.
like or like going on like what was this? Was it Fumi's website where he went into like detail about like how the old Japanese territories were. Then he put like pictures of himself like with all these wrestlers,
Yeah.
what was the name of that website? I think it was Pro Wrestle Fan. I think that was it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like that stuff now it's kind of like lost to time, lost into the archive. Uh, and like I like that you keep a record of stuff. And like man, nobody nobody could expect for you to keep up with everything. But I'm sure like those people that you were helping like really did appreciate it. That goes into something else. Like we were kind of talking about this earlier. Like you told me that you sort of fell off in wrestling, and
Yeah.
do you want to go into why you kind of fell off?
Yeah, sure. I think it was partially some burnout for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, and like dedicating just so much time and energy to wrestling and
Oh no,
research
couldn't be me.
and writing. Yep, all of that stuff. And I think just after a few years, it got to be a lot. And then there's just kind of like, um, I think we talked a little bit about, you know, the current like coverage of wrestling, like at
Yeah,
least like what is going on in like modern day product
yeah,
and kind of the atmosphere around it. It just got to be like something I felt like I didn't want to like take in as much. Like you have so many podcasts, so many critics, so many people posting about like every spot, every word, every
yeah,
angle, and it's just getting critiqued so much with someone has an opinion, oh they did this wrong, or and it's like people that they're just fans, and if it really was wrong, maybe you wouldn't be getting this reaction. But I don't know, it's just it gets to be a lot to like read all of the hot takes and the weird like attacks,
mm,
and and so it's just like, and I know like that makes some people money, and I guess good for them if that's what's kind of driving their engagement and whatever, but it just gets to be like too much to listen to. It's like the negativity is just like, if you that's what the whole brand is about, and you just are talking about how you hate this thing all the time. I don't know, like hate watching and hate listening, that kind of loses its like luster to me. Like
yeah,
you, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard to keep up with something if like you feel like you hate it. So I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I feel you on that, man. Like I dropped a ton of wrestling podcasts because of that. The whole negativity, the people just not getting joy about what they're watching, and it's just like
Yeah,
if you put out that negative energy, then I'm not gonna want to tune in. And I know like some weirdos, I'll call them weirdos because for lack of a better word, they love to hear people be in misery, complaining about what they're doing and being angry, so that because some of those fans also feel angry and in misery. But like, and that's easy. Like to complain is easy. To find something to complain about is
yeah,
easy. But like, you know what else is also easy is just like not watching what makes you so dissatisfied and finding
right.
something that brings like joy and happiness into your life. I love you, hon. I love you so much. You made my life so much better. Like, and I like when we like when I think about wrestling, like I personally um I don't get angry thinking about wrestling. I like
Yeah,
when I think about wrestling, I think about how it made me feel when I first started watching, or like how I feel
yeah.
like when I think of like a good match, or like these wrestlers that I thought that are important to me as a fan. My question is like, how did you get into wrestling?
Man, I was very young. I want to say like 2 or 3 years old, and it
Wow,
was just like was something that was just on. I think it was maybe my dad was into it at least a
nice.
little bit.
Okay.
or maybe thought like he was into it enough that maybe he thought I would like it. Um, so it just kind of it really was just like on, and I just started to like I would get like action figures as gifts,
Mm.
and like I was like just watching it and I was into it, and that was just kind of like as far back as I can remember. It's just kind of something that like not necessarily that I was born into, but like as far as back as I can remember, like it was something that was on and I was really excited about.
Yeah, man. I That's cool to hear, man. I My mom also watched pro wrestling. My uncles did, so like it kind of like just kind of dripped down to me. So
Yeah,
I really like it when someone else also has that kind of similar-ish experience where it was just on and then I got into it. Um,
yeah,
Same thing like with me and basketball with my dad and the Lakers.
yeah,
And it could go some ways. It could go other ways, like where like your parents kind of like watch something and then like you totally reject that. Like
right.
yeah, like my dad would put on like Frank Sinatra and Tony Bennett and I hated that when I was a kid, but now I like it. Maybe it's because I'm
Yeah.
40 now. and now my joints don't work, so now I can just sit down and relax and enjoy. So
Yeah, I
it's
mean, there's
funny.
definitely stuff.
Yeah.
There's definitely stuff you grow into like that. I remember for sure, like there was some stuff that my parents liked, and I was like, this is not for me. And then as I get older and like music wise, and I hear it again, I'm just like, no, actually, what, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
But that is to say, though, like my parents, I think always had pretty good taste. Well, what I consider pretty good taste, like
Yeah.
they were all into like alternative rock and stuff as I was growing up. So like that's where I first heard that too. So a lot of this stuff that I've like really kind of grown up with
Yeah.
and really liked was, kind of started by them. Like I
Oh.
kind of like grew into it.
Yeah, man. I don't think I dropped this before, but actually, my uncle is Mike Inez from Alice in Chains. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, uh, it's we'll talk about some stuff off the air. The Yeah, just like trying to fall into it, and like with me, I kind of like put it on my younger cousins, and they kind of watched it, and
Yeah.
and like as you go on, like you, you kind of like absorb this stuff, and yeah, man. So like, who was like the wrestlers for you that like really rang something in your heart that you're like, oh, these are the guys for me?
Growing up, it was definitely like Hogan. Hogan was a huge one.
Yeah,
Um, uh, let's see. Back then, I remember I really early on really grew to like Brian Pillman because we would get like WCW stuff too, like
Flying
on
Brian.
TBS, and I'd watch that. So I was a big like when he was flying Brian, like I loved him.
Was it because you guys have the same first name?
I think that definitely had something to do with it, and then I think that like along with that, like he was kind of different. Like he really like his high flying offense wasn't
Yeah,
like really that popular at that point. So like seeing a
yeah,
guy jumping around, like doing like drop kicks, body presses, stuff like that, like that was it was a little different. So I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah,
Um, but then like as I got older, I remember like when kind of like Attitude Era stuff.
yeah.
I was like really into like Raven
Oh,
and like the flock and stuff. I thought he was the coolest.
yeah,
Like WWE, I was like, I think like a lot of the bigger guys I was into. Like I thought The Rock was great at that time. I mean, it was hard not to like Stone Cold at that point. Um, I was also like really big into ECW too. So like
oh yeah.
RVD, I thought was awesome. Like his move set, like when I did backyard wrestling, I really tried to like I called myself the one man show. He was the whole effing show, so I like
Uh,
really ripped him off.
that's fun, man.
um,
When I used to do
uh,
backyard wrestling, was it? I'd be like Andre the Giant because he did the least amount of moves and I was really lazy, so I didn't want to work or sell or bump. So
Yeah, see, I had kind of an extensive backyard career, but I had like one that was more like technical wrestling, but then we had one that was like very hardcore
Yeah.
and like doing a lot of like smashing ourselves over the head with signs and getting jumped on off of a roof and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So I had like different characters for each of them. I was kind of like in the hardcore one, me and my friend were kind of like rip off of the gangsters, but you know we were like white guys, so it really didn't
Hey,
make any sense.
hey, that's hey. What that shows to me is that New Jack and Mustafa reached out to like another demographic and wanted
Right,
to make them be them. That's true progressivism. That's true
right.
progressive. Um, because I remember when I was remember with my cousins, I remember like we used to use like this bunk bed for our ladder matches.
Yeah,
Like we climb up there, grab whatever, and then like do like a splash on top of whatever.
yeah.
And I remember one time like we had our first blood match. I'm not sure why we did. And then like my cousin hit me like with like one of those like wiry trash cans, right? Like those little ones you put
Yeah,
like in the office, and like he cut my arm, and I was like, oh, like I guess you win. But
yeah. We would try to get like innovative with some of that stuff. Like I remember we did a quote unquote glass death match one
oh
time,
man,
but I was in like I was on like forums and websites that were like databases for like backyard wrestling. So we had
yeah,
like we submitted our site and we're like part of it. And
yard
actually
dogs,
just a weird quick aside to that, someone messaged me when they found WrestleMap a while ago and they ran a backyard wrestling site and they're like, I'm trying to compile a map of all these old backyard sites and I gave
crazy,
him my old link. So that was just kind of like a
full
funny
circle.
coincidence, but yeah, but we would find like stuff like, oh, to make glass, just crush up a bunch of CD cases. So like
Ah,
on our little video, it kind of looked like glass, and then we would have some like fake blood, but we never like. You know, our glass death match was definitely like a huge, like fully gimmicks, like big work.
yeah. Man, I we tried to work. Our ring was the bounce house, and like we went in there even till like my teenage years. You could
Yeah,
like hit a good lariat, a power bomb, a pedigree on those
yeah,
in those bounce houses. But what I hated is my one of my little cousins. What do you like to do? He loves mankind, right? So of course he's gonna take his sock off and try to put it in your mouth. And man, did that lead to so many beatings?
oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
hey brother, we're working here. What the hell? It's not a shoot.
right,
You're going into business for yourself here? What is
yeah,
this? I did not. We did
yeah.
not okay this in the back. Yeah,
We used to we had the trampoline, so like
yeah,
sometimes we would get someone that would start like jumping, and we'd be like, "What are you doing? Like you're ruining the show!" Like,
yeah, man.
yeah,
See, and you're talking about earlier about how like when you hear people talk about wrestling nowadays, it's just like a bunch of like from other. And see, when I talk about wrestling, like when it's like in person or with other people, like I like this feeling I have right now. Like I'm so happy to talk about it. It brings back like these
yeah,
feelings of like joy and like you bring up RVD and that dude was the coolest motherfucker on TV all the time, man.
oh yeah,
He came out to walk. He had a
mm-hmm,
ponytail. He did like karate kicks. He
yep,
yeah, man. He was like that was one of my guys because he was just a cool dude, just cool, smoked weed. That's
right,
a cool guy.
yeah. He was so cool. Yeah, that's part of like why I was like, tried to model that whole like character after him,
Yeah.
and like I would try to do like the spin kicks and shit like that.
Uh,
So, yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I actually did Taekwondo for like yeah, I think maybe like about 10 years from when I was 8 to 18. So like doing so like I always try to hit a super kick in sparring, but I always get yelled at because I kick the guy in the face when you're supposed to kick him in the chest for points, and I'm like, but this is how Shawn Michaels does it. He wins.
Right, right.
So I like those spinning kicks. Those were the ones he hit where like he gets that full extension from this when they do his entrance
Yes.
from is it Battle Creek, Michigan.
Uh
He
huh.
is the ECW World Television Champion, and he is one half of the ECW World Tag Team Champions, Mister Pay Per View, Rob Van Sinkick Dam. Uh,
Yep.
that was so cool, man.
And
Like
like
I'm thinking
the
about that right now.
pointing to himself.
Yeah, dude, the thumbs.
Yeah.
Dude, I used
Yep.
when you were in high school back then, like children. So I'm 40. So I was in high school in the year 2000. So
Yep.
and back then, I mean, you were too. Not to age you, but
Yeah.
like,
No, I'm 39. Yep.
yeah, but like in 2000, wrestling was cool. So like you would
Yeah.
see like people do suck it's. You'd see people do
Yes.
The Rob Van Dam thing, and people would know it's Rob Van Dam. And this was the year 2000 because ECW was on TNN, and ECW was kind of it was fire like
Yeah.
and like it just brings you back. It brings me back thinking about these things and just really like, man, I'm just like I'm happy when I think about it. I get like a warm feeling inside when I think about it
Yeah.
because it takes me back to when a simpler time, and I feel like a lot of the times like what we see like now like when they bring back the nostalgia wrestlers, they're trying to bring back that feeling,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
and I know like in AEW, like I guess Will Ospreay always says restore the feeling, but you can't restore that feeling. You can't ever go
Right.
back to that time. All you can do is create new feelings, and then that new feeling will become the feeling for this generation.
Yeah.
And like
Exactly.
so, like whenever I see like when I saw RVD come out to like an AEW and he came out to walk, and I was like, that's cool, that's so cool. And then he goes out and wrestles, and I'm like, well, yay.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
like he still moved pretty well, but it
yeah,
definitely was not like the whole effing show
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
That dude was so sick. Rolling
Yeah.
Thunder, man, Van Daminator, Van Terminator.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
So good.
dude, we need somebody like that now. I mean, I guess we kind of have someone like that ish, but like, well, Osprey
Yeah.
is there, but he's not cool. You know?
Yeah. And it was just like other than him being like really cool, it was like that kind of style wasn't as prevalent. Like now
Yeah,
you have like a lot of guys that can fly, like a lot of guys that can, you know, jump and kick and look smooth doing it. But like back then, it was like there was really only a handful of guys.
yeah,
And he wasn't like a cruiserweight, so that made it
no,
kind of cooler that he could like do all that.
yeah, cause like there's guys like Rob Van Dam, like Shawn Michaels, like that were like kind of the in between because they were taller.
Right.
So
Yeah.
like they were you didn't like see them really as small guys because like if you look at them they weren't small really because they still
Yeah.
were pretty big and muscular. And I'm a body guy, so I love talking about guys men's bodies because it's pro wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm a straight man, but
Yes.
you put Paul Roma, Prime Pro Paul Roma in front of me.
Right.
You put Pac in front of me. You put Lex Luger. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be like yes, please, and more.
Right.
So yeah, man. Like when I think about that stuff, like going back, and then like it just that's kind of what keeps you in is like the wrestlers, the wrestling, and all that, and yeah, man, and trying to keep like that history alive and all that. That is that is so nice, man. Trying to keep history alive is big with me because I'm big into history. I'm big into combat sports history. I'm big into wrestling
Hmm.
history, and like keeping track of that. And it's it's like a thankless endeavor, but I'm gonna thank you for doing it,
Yeah.
man.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, I did. I tried to write a lot of histories too, and the last big one that I was really trying to do was like Congolese wrestling, like
Oh,
from the DRC and the Congo, which, if you're not familiar, they have like a huge wrestling scene.
I,
Like,
I think I saw it on Vice actually. Is that?
yeah, like the voodoo wrestling
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big part of it, but there is other, like, they have like classic style, and they have like catch fetiche is what they call that.
Mm.
And even classic style is big. They have champions in like both divisions, and they've had like really strong wrestling scene there since like late 60s, early 70s, and it's just like like trying to figure out like how it all started and all that. I was really interested in, so I was working on a history, and I was trying to write some stuff up. And then one of the wrestlers that I was talking to, and I will say, like, all the wrestlers I talked to from the Congo, there's so many that were so cool and really friendly. Like, some of, like, I'm still like in contact with some now, like good, like, friends. It's tough because there's like a language barrier, so I'm
Yeah.
talking to them through like Google Translate.
Mm.
But there was one that I talked to, and he was like, "Since you're not a wrestler, you should not be writing this." And I was like, "Oh,
Okay.
okay." So part of that made me want to back off a little, and also part of just like how hard to find that history is like kind of why I stalled out on that, because I actually, I had to try, I was trying to track down like old like newspapers from the Congo. And so the thing with the Congo is it's like as a country, there's been like a lot of turmoil. Like, they
Yeah.
had a dictator, then they had like four civil wars,
Mm.
and just a lot of stuff like was eh, I
So
don't
I'm
know,
sure
like just
a lot of the print stuff was like not really taken care of.
right, some was lost. And even like another part of it too is like a lot of stuff in the Congo, like print isn't usually how they like to spread their news. Like, in the past, they have this thing that's called like radio concrete, they call it, where it's
Ah,
most stuff like spreads by like word of mouth or like talk on the street. So like there weren't like a ton of like local papers. I mean, there were some like in French when like Mbuto took over. He was like the dictator there. Um, but like I reached out to some like universities. Actually, I was trying to track down like
oh man, that's
newspaper databases and stuff, and I had one lined up, and it's like I would have to go to Boston, and it was just like a lot of stuff was involved. And I was like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna put in a ton of work, and I'm gonna feel really great about doing this, but I don't know that anyone would ever like want to read this extensive history of Congolese wrestling. So that's kind of part of why I like backed off a little on that project. And also like from that response that I got from that wrestler, where I was like, maybe they see it that way, that like maybe they wouldn't want someone that isn't directly involved telling that story. So
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of the times, like when it comes to like countries from war torn countries, they don't want to be seen as taken advantage of by an outsider, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Yeah.
so this isn't the first time geopolitics has come up on this podcast.
Yeah.
So you're in good company, man. You're in good company.
Okay.
So uh, yeah, so like we got about history, and we talked about this for a little bit, but you you have something in common with Tony Khan, our fearless leader, Tony Khan.
Yeah.
You also played Total Extreme Warfare.
Yes.
Yeah. So how'd you get into that? Because I talk to people who play all different kinds of wrestling games,
Yeah.
and you're the first one that I'm actually going to talk to about the booking simulator.
Okay. Man, how did I get into it? I don't know if I fully remember. Um I think there was just like searching online. Like I think I wanted to find something where I could like book. Like I
Yeah.
remember like years ago I played. There was like one of the WWE games, and there was like a career mode or
Yeah.
something, and I thought it was kind of cool, but I wanted more like I wanted to be able to like run shows and things like that, and so I came across like TEW and um for a while like I didn't realize that they had that like people made mods, so like you
Yeah.
can like the database is like editable, and you can like people create like real world mods and things like that. So like for a little bit I didn't realize that was even an option. So they like the game has like built in like wrestlers and like
Yeah.
their own universe, their own like promotions and all that. So I was like booking that and just trying to like, without having any like knowledge of these guys, trying to like put together shows and coming up with like fully my own like gimmicks and everything for them. And then more recently I discovered like probably a few years ago I was like, oh shit, like people make mods for this. So then I started to book like I was always into like I always wanted to start my own company and like do
Yeah.
present day and try to like grow as a company and put on shows that would get higher ratings and get me like better opportunities, things like that.
Yeah.
So it was always like trying to pick up guys that were not currently, big stars and trying to build them up and that kind of thing. And I've
Yeah.
definitely spent, a lot of hours playing TEW. And part of like one of the cool things about it is like you're able to like upload graphics into it, like into their graphics folder. So I would make like, my own logo for the promotion. I would make
Yeah.
like pay-per-view posters, things like that. So yeah, it was cool. I haven't bought the newest one though, but I keep getting the urge to. Like I'll think about it and I'll be like, oh, I should get that, and
Y-
then I don't end up doing it. So I haven't played in maybe like a year or so, like
Uh,
at all.
yeah.
Um,
Have you tried
but like
Journey of Wrestling?
no, I haven't. The only one that I've really ever played is TEW,
Oh.
but I have heard of some of the other ones, but I've never actually tried them.
So in Journey of Wrestling, you actually have the option of going to like a specific year and like a real company, like say 1988 Jim Crockett, or even like 2001 WCW, or 1995 Eastern Championship Wrestling, and with that roster and going on from there. Because
That's really cool.
yeah, journeyofwrestling.com, available on all
Is it?
platforms. I am not sponsored by them.
Oh,
I mean, it's soon to be available on Steam, but it's available online as like an online web browser. And then if you go
okay.
on their Patreon, uh, patreon.com/journey of wrestling, you could not sponsored by me. They're not sponsoring me. So you go on their website, they actually have like an option for like a mobile app that you can download from them, and
Really?
it's a really fun game. I recommend it to everybody because my friend Ed, shout out to Ed, shout out to the Southern Fried Wrestlecast. He introduced that game to me on like our Discord, and it's like, hey guys, you want to like find out what it's like to be a booker? And like I was like, okay, and that was pretty cool. I think you should try it, check it out. It's free to play.
Yeah.
So journeyofwrestling.com,
Okay.
journeyofwrestling.com,
Yeah.
available right now. Also,
That sounds awesome.
yeah. And man, there's so many different ways you can enjoy pro wrestling without even having to watch it. Like, I loved reading books, like on the history of
Yeah, me
wrestling.
too.
You were mentioning like about like, I think I watched it on YouTube when wrestling was golden. Like that's a history on UK wrestling. They have like
Yeah.
these channels on YouTube where these guys now have access to like old footage, like Wrestlepective, coming soon. Uh, Grapple
I
Vision.
love retrospective.
Oh yeah. Um, shout out to you, Wrestlepective. Can't wait to talk to you
Yes,
later, man.
Scott. His name is Scott.
Scott.
He's a good
Yeah.
guy. I've talked to him. Really
Yeah.
friendly guy.
Yeah. We're about to. Um, I'm giving it away. we're gonna we're talking, so hopefully we get that up soon. And I'm gonna be. I love that guy's channel. Like he just did the whole thing
Oh,
on
it's so
like
good.
War. He did SWS and War back to back, and I was like, hell yeah, because Tenryu was one of my guys, and like
Yeah,
he was able to like access all this older footage like him, Rapplevision, Kim Justice, Wrestling Colin, all of them like because nowadays back then, like maybe 10 years ago, all that footage was lost somewhere. But now
right.
more and more people are finding their old VHSs and uploading that, or finding their old VCDs. Because when I did tape trading, it was in VCDs. Um, Now they're uploading that stuff to like a folder, and people are getting to see this. And I think that's great.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
things that
that's
I thought
awesome.
they were lost history, like even on WWE Network. What I loved about WWE Network is they had hidden gems, right? Um,
Yes,
the Bret Hart and McGee guy, that was a hidden gem, for a hidden tape that everybody just talked about, and it just happened to be in some old lady's garage or something, or
right.
some basement or something, and then they were able to like get that, put that in, and I'm like, man, that's so cool. And like the one for me, the one last missing footage, lost media for that is like Hulk Hogan versus El Connect in Arena Mexico, because
Yeah,
back in the 80s, so lucha was banned from TV because the promoters said if it's on TV, people are less likely to come to the shows. I'm not sure if you're aware of that, but that was a
no, I didn't know that actually.
yeah. So I think throughout the 80s and part of the 70s, they just took wrestling off TV because they're saying like the promoters got to like parents councils and they got the parents to complain about it, so they'd be off TV. But there'd be other lucha that's on TV. But CMLL at that time, EMLL was just taken off TV. But it lives on in tape form because New Japan would send their camera crews there to record, and with like a tiger mask or like a Grand Hamada or Fujinami would be working, or Liger would be working there.
Yeah,
They'd send like the camera crews right there. So, and back then also WWF and New Japan were allied because
right,
NWA was allied with All Japan.
right.
So yeah, so you get stuff like Hulk Hogan would go to Japan to defend the belt against like Fujinami, or he'd go to
Yeah,
EMLL and defend against El Connect, and that's the one match that's like allegedly Dave Meltzer has it, but
really.
yeah, but there's no footage of it. There's footage, there's pictures of people with video cameras, right, of taking pictures of video of
Hmm.
it, but it's never appeared online, and to me that's like the holy grail about everything. Even like whatever Tom McGee
Yeah,
and Bret Hart is that's Bret Hart rookie year Bret Hart, and that's Tom McGee who never became anything. But this is like
yeah.
Hulk Hogan and El Connect, like certifiable legends.
Right, that's huge.
Yeah, and like that's something that I want to watch, and something I read about like so many times. Because like, when have you ever heard about Hulk Hogan working lucha?
Oh, never.
Yeah, dude.
And
So
I'm so curious to see what it would be like because like his move set in Japan was definitely like, more than what he did in,
yeah,
WWF when it
more
was just
hard
like the
hitting.
slam, leg
Yeah,
drop, back break. I mean, it wasn't anything like extreme, but it was definitely a different style. So I'd love to see kind of like
yeah.
what that would look like.
And El Connect was a huge guy too. So he was like a big buff one. You know, like those old pictures of luchadors are like where they pretend they're that big, but he was actually that.
Yeah.
He's like a
Yeah.
legit 6'4", like almost
Yeah.
275. It's the 80s, so they had access to, you know, they didn't know what they were doing,
Right.
so they took everything. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and that's one of the hidden grail matches for me. And now you gave me something to ask.
Yeah.
That's oh man. So I love connecting with people that love the history of pro wrestling and are able to just like wax, even though like we weren't alive back then. I mean, we weren't alive in the
Yeah.
'80s, but we weren't like thinking thoughts or whatever. We were just like
Yeah.
little kids
Right.
shitting our pants or whatever.
Yeah.
So like it's cool to go back, like even like go back to like the '90s and like see all this other stuff, like Because if we talk about the territories, there's still territories because you had ECW in the Northeast, you had USWA
Yep.
in Memphis, and there was still a Florida Championship Wrestling. In
Smoky
California,
Mountain.
yeah,
Yeah.
California, you still have like stuff like Empire Wrestling or what was the other place? What was the other thing? Revolution, Pro Wrestling Revolution. That's where like Excalibur and Super Dragon started, or you have like AWS, you have APW in Northern California, where they sent like Mike Modest and that other guy, and they were on Beyond the
Yeah.
Mat. So like you still like had like the territory system, and even in Canada, they're still having Stampede shows on the opposite end of like
Hmm.
the guys running like Toronto and doing like the Native American reservation, the Native Canadian reservation camp, Indigenous First Nations peoples. I gotta remain, I gotta be up on top of like what they call them, what people want to be referred as, because I don't want to be backwards. I want to be forwards. And
Yeah.
back then people used to back in like maybe even in the '80s, I would be called Oriental, but
Right.
nowadays that's not kosher.
Yeah.
So anyway, so like you like hear about all these other territories and people still working. And so like people say like the territories were dead, but like the territories were still alive. And in some cases, like Smoky Mountain, at least for 2 years, they were thriving. And
Right.
yeah, and just keeping that history alive and keeping like these kind of like things out there that, and like that's kind of part of what you do. That's like what Wrestlepective and all of them on YouTube
Yeah.
do. It's just like it's like what you think about what actually hits and what stays memorable. It's like it's crazy, man.
Yeah.
um, yeah.
I went through a phase of where I was trying to like I was trying to find just like databases that like had like stock footage or like
Oh,
databases of like old like or even like public television, and just trying to find like any wrestling stuff that they had on there, and I had some luck, and I was able to find some stuff that I did upload to my YouTube. I
cool.
was able to find like old like reels from like Germany, like newsreels, or like even stuff like Portland's territory from like the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
So there was some stuff that I was able to find, and I had fun doing that. Like even like back to the 30s, I would find some stuff that was like played in like movie theaters, and then
That's
you
awesome, man.
know yeah. So and it's crazy because like you see some people that are they talk about like, oh, the style that people wrestle is it's like they're too fast, they're too this, whatever. And then you go back and you watch a match from the 30s, or like they don't take it seriously enough. You watch something from the 30s and they're doing comedy spots, they're
Yeah.
like working really fast, they're not selling like guys, it's always been like this. Like I don't
Yeah.
know I don't know what you're talking about, that
It's
it's
yeah.
some moves have changed, offense has changed, but like other than that, it's not that different that some people want to make you believe when they get so angry.
Yeah, when you watch like that old French catch stuff where they put diving boards on the turnbuckles,
Yeah,
and you're just like, wow, man. Or like even like you look about Titanes del Ring, and like they have like
yeah, right.
mummies, and then there's also that
Hmm.
one weird federation that had like what was it? They had like toys as the wrestlers, and like one guy gimmick was he was Police Academy. That was his
I don't know
name.
if I know that one.
Oh, dude, you should look it up on YouTube. It was like, man, I forgot what it was called, but it was like, I don't know if it was Titanes del Ring, but it like, I remember watching it a while ago. Like, they had like a Rambo guy and a Toys R Us guy, and like, they're toys, but they come out and they're wrestling they're as if they're the character. Like, there's a guy that's a Rambo and a guy that's a RoboCop and a guy that's a Police Academy toy, because it was used
Oh
to sell
wow,
toys back, I guess, in South America. I'm gonna look that up again because I know I saw that. I know I saw the footage of that. Um,
that definitely could be like Titanes in our ring, like you said.
yeah.
they had a lot of like the gimmicks and stuff where I remember they had like a guy that like brought ice to the ring. Like he started off as like a vendor in the crowd selling ice or something, and then he became like part of the show, like the ice guy.
Oh man,
So they definitely, yeah,
they have a guy like that in Dragon Gate, because in Dragon Gate there's this guy named Daiki, and like his job before wrestling was he was an usher at Korakuen Hall. So his gimmick is he comes with like a dustpan and a broom and starts sweeping up, and then when he gets to the ring, takes off his janitor's outfit and boom.
I
So
love that. That's good.
so full circle stuff, and that's like what's old is new again, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what I like. And um, there's a couple in the Philippines. I remember this because one of my uncles always said that he was a wrestler. So I remember like he showed me a tape, and it was like I don't know if it was Filipino pro wrestling or Manila pro wrestling, but it was in the 80s, and like
Hmm.
it was wild because like you know it's like third world country production values, but it's just funny to like go back and watch all this stuff. And now I'm gonna go on YouTube when we're done with this and like look all this stuff and I'll send you some of the links so you can laugh. Um, but like it's just this is stuff. This is like one of the many ways to enjoy pro wrestling. Like you don't even have to watch it, man. You don't have to
Yeah.
watch it. You could like read, or you don't have to watch what's current. You can like watch footage on old things or watch documentaries, and it just gives you like it gives some people what they need. And I'm a freak, so I like watching and reading all of it. Like I like when the UFC released that documentary, like what was it about, maybe even 10 years ago or something, because they did 20 years or 25 years of UFC, and like they had the origins of it, and like you see like guys like you see Ken Shamrock, you see Ron
Yeah.
Waterman, you see like these guys that like Don Fry that like go into Minoru Suzuki, freaking Sakuraba that were like in UFC and in pro wrestling, and like you just see like that connection there, and like all of it is like, man, I'm loving this conversation, bro. You have no
Yeah.
idea. You people don't understand. I just literally, this guy came on like it was all just random, and like what people don't understand is like wrestling fans kind of have this thing where you never know what's gonna happen or what people are gonna connect on. And
Right.
I always like telling people that because like I'm not sure if you listen to like on some podcasts where like wrestling fans talk about like how they're so lonely and like they're going through a tough time in their life, and like part of that like hearing those stories or like reading them online about like how people like feel so lonely that they don't have people in their lives that are like same fans with them. But I'm like,
Yeah.
there is an online community. The
Right.
and the world is online now. So and like you as wrestling fans, oftentimes we feel like we're alone in what we like, and like the best way to watch it is in
Yeah.
a dark room by ourselves with our earbuds in, so we're not bothering anybody with it. No, hon, I love watching wrestling like that. I don't care. That's the way I'm supposed to watch it. The TV is yours. And so I yeah, man, it's fantastic to find somebody like I call them kindred spirits, and I'm
Yeah.
like just you're a good dude, man.
Yeah.
I can't
Appreciate
wait to
that. Thank
talk
you.
more to you, man. And that brings me to this question of like, so I love to eat, particularly I love to eat sweets. And my question for you, man, is what's your favorite dessert?
Oh man. I I'm a candy freak. I love candy.
I love
A
candy.
peanut butter is like my favorite thing in the world. So like
Yup,
especially like chocolate and peanut butter
yup.
things are so good. Um there's this thing that a store near me makes that it's called a Carmelita, and
Caramel.
it's like a caramel kind of cake, but it's also got like chocolate in it, and it's got like crumble, like maybe like sugar, cinnamon sugar crumbles on it. It is like one of the best things that there
Whoa.
are.
That
Um,
that's great.
cinnamon rolls. Like
Mm,
I don't know. I love dessert. It's
yeah.
with ice cream. I had an ice cream addiction for a while. I had to have it every day.
I still do. I do
Yeah.
have the sugar. I'm part of the blood sugar line. Um, shout out to you, Chase. Shout out to you, Jag. You know, we shout out to you, SPF. We are the blood sugar line. We come from, and like yeah, man, that sounds delicious. Do you want to plug your website and your TikTok?
Yeah, Wrestlemap.com is the site. I think another thing to check out is like the WrestleMap YouTube, which I haven't done much with in a while, but I think there's some cool stuff on there to check out. If you like history, there's some news pieces, there's some documentary style stuff, and then there's also a few events that I put together, and I have I think two or three that are from the Congo where I did like my favorite is probably the first one. It was an arena show, and I was like the main sponsor, and I put together like all the footage. I did the commentary on it,
Nice.
did all the graphics, and it's just kind of like a cool intro to like Congolese wrestling. I also have some wrestling from Nigeria that I did with some of their promotions over there. Full events on the WrestleMap YouTube that you can check out to
Shout
check
out
out some like
to
African wrestling.
oh man, do we talking about Power Udi, the great Power
Um,
Udi? No.
Power Udi is not in any of the shows.
Uh,
He's kind of like he hasn't wrestled in a while.
uh,
He still like tries to be active in the scene. I was like very involved in Nigerian wrestling for a while,
okay.
and I had one of my like direct connections was like, "Hey, Power Udi's looking for some guys for a tour," and I told him I was like, "Look, I'm not gonna like pass on Power Udi stuff to anybody because his
Hey man,
reputation is terrible,
Cliff
and
Compton and Doc Gallows kind of like laid
yeah,
it bare.
and he also was accused of and possibly committed the murder of his wife a few
Yeesh.
years back,
Uh,
and yeah, and then like of course the involvement with like the Nigerian military and like all that
yo,
stuff that like Cliff Compton talked about and all that, and so yeah, I was just like, I'm not gonna get involved in Power Udi stuff. Sorry,
hey
but
yo,
there are other wrestlers that kind of like I feel like they probably wrestled against Power Udi because there's some older guys in Nigeria that are still going. And you said that you're a body guy,
yeah.
so like there are some wrestlers in Africa that are definite like throwbacks to like late 80s, early 90s body
Oh,
guys. Like
okay.
Power Lee is one of them. I do also have some Pro Wrestling Africa events too. I forgot about that.
Hey man, I'm
Um,
I'm just happy on this podcast I'm able to talk to somebody who was part of the African wrestling scene. talk about talk about international. Oh man.
yeah,
Oh man.
I
You bring me
I
joy right now, man.
I honestly put more money than I would like to admit into African wrestling, and it was something that I had to be like, all right, you just gotta stop.
Hey, that just
And
makes you unproblematic Lord White.
I yeah, I mean I was sponsoring like a lot of stuff for a while, and
Okay.
I stopped because it was like I wanted it for the content, but then like there was no money coming back.
Oh,
So like it was fun, and I was happy to help like put together stuff and get eyes on stuff. But like I'm just a middle class like working guy. Like I'm
yeah.
not a businessman or anything. So it was like I had to kind of you know put a cap on that because it was like I'm not seeing money coming back in. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm always like a big proponent of African wrestling because I think that's one like spot where there's like so much to discover and there's so little information elsewhere about it. So I'm always like really trying to help spread some awareness on that
Hey,
stuff. Which there's actually a Pro Wrestling Africa event coming up later this month. I'm not going to be involved in any way, but
okay.
hopefully there'll be some stuff that ends up online. But I know that some people that followed WrestleMap in the past they're familiar with the Wolf. NDA is his name. He was originally based out of Cameroon, but he relocated to the U.S. He's going to be back in Cameroon for this show, so it's like his big triumphant return to Africa. So it's kind of cool to see.
Man, that's spectacular to go this route and to have all this stuff, man. That's insane. I also I like to end my kind of shows like with this. Um, what do you want your rainbow to say? Like your rainbow is like what you wanted to say to send a message out to the people.
Um, I think like it related to wrestling. I think it's just like try to have fun with it. Try to like enjoy it. Like what you like. Try not to get wrapped up in all the criticizing every single spot, every word that's said on a show, how every angle is written or booked wrong, and just try to enjoy it. Like it's fair to criticize for sure. If something is excuse me, not done well and it's like, very clearly a flop, feel free to criticize. That's part of the fun. But when it comes to like breaking down every single aspect and that everything's got to be a hot take, that's not in the long run. That's not fun. It loses its like appeal. So just try to enjoy it. Go, and if that means going back to old stuff, do it. Just whatever you like.
Yeah, man. That's good to hear from you, man. I'm gonna like I'm gonna send my vibes to you. Blessings, blessings, blessings. Um, I like that you're working with all these with trying to get like outreach for like all these African promotions. I like that you're keeping this history alive. And yeah, man, I want to say like it's been an honor to have you. Hopefully we talk again soon. And
For
yeah,
sure.
man,
Yeah.
it's been a pleasure, bro. Like
Yeah. It's
honestly,
been a
man.
lot of fun.
Yeah,
I've had a lot of fun. It's been a cool conversation and definitely different from other shows I've done where it's been mostly, talking about, different wrestling scenes or like the site itself. I feel like we got off on some other topics that were like fun to talk about. Like it was like a nice change.
yeah, bro. I try to keep it fun. I try to make like for me, it's not about me. It's about wherever the conversation goes, and I always think like it goes like in a good way. So
Yeah.
you're a great guest, man, and hopefully we hear from you again. You know,
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I would definitely do it again.
yeah, man. Thank you so much.